Happy Halloween. Let's see. Who all is here? We have the one-eyed cat, Lars, Colleen, Wendy's here, Danny Boyd. Man, I do not like the way they do these handles instead of the channel names. That was a solution in search of a problem. Heavens Mopar Scott, Mohawk 62, Matthew Ward 627. I believe that's 6th Street Garage. Dean Stevenson, Kerosene Cucumbers. Turbo Tom, howdy. That's right, it's Turbo Tom's birthday. That's right, he's born on Halloween. Dennis says stand by for action. I don't think people think of action when they think of me, but okay. I believe I was expecting me to scare. Nah. I was having too much fun with the trick-or-treaters. So they're handing out candy. We get a bunch of them in this neighborhood, and it's cool. Too many sweets. Yeah, I haven't gotten into the Halloween candy too bad this year. Johnny C. Turned off the porch. I did turn off the porch light just now. The Halloween was earlier this year. They have the town merchants trick or treat, and then they have the town offices trick or treat. The town offices I think are 3 to 5, and the merchants were 5 to 7, and they invade the neighborhood 7 to 8. So I'm gonna tell you, if you're a trick or treater in this town, you are in luck. Jethro ate the camera. No, but he is wearing his Halloween costume. Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell. Hello, sir. First Responder Garage. I hear Jethro making noise because he's been in here napping. So I might wind up having to move him to another location. So probably be doing that here in a minute. Lost the hairbrush, maybe. My Aunt Nancy's here. Hello. World of Woodship. You guys lost a bit. Here I am. Rich. Nice. Yeah, Rich created a new channel, and he's got his block, but he makes a new channel. Whatever. You don't show her anything. You anyway. Oh boy. Nice. Well, thanks for coming by and saying hi, Rich. Let's see. Levi's saying that's awesome. We drove to go look at Triple Crown truck and went through town during our local trick or treat and loved driving by the costumes. Yeah, I know. I think it's pretty cool. See Jethro's costume? Yeah, I can do that. Rich, what did you wear for Halloween? What's your trick or treat costume? I'm gonna have to move him. He's been napping. Let's see here. This is Jethro's costume right here. He goes trick-or-treating at the bank. Levi says Richie has me blocked. Oh yeah, he blocks everybody. He blocked a bunch of people. Then he made up something about not being able to get in his channel and created another channel. And I don't know what he's doing. Who knows? I couldn't care less. Back on the block list. I'll be back on the block list. I have been the whole time. I was the first 2 people blocked. Unfinished project tonight. Yes, if you want to make sure to catch all of them, go to live chat instead of top chat. Top chat shouldn't exist. Rob's Rods and Streetcars. Hello, sir. Yeah, 18-mile-an-hour wind. I was worried about that ruining the trick-or-treaters today. We had a lot of wind, but it looked like it was supposed to stop about 4 o'clock, and it did. And we were supposed to have rain all week, and we didn't have rain. Turned out to be a good evening. I have no idea how many total we had in the neighborhood. We were late getting back. So we missed probably an hour of munchkins going around the neighborhood. Yep, really going to have to move him. So I will go do that. And I will move him, and I will be back. Yeah, I'll sit tight, and I will move him, but I will be right back. Back in a flash. Okay. There we go. All right. Had to move Jethro. He'd been napping in here, got in a little late with the trick-or-treaters, so had to run. And Rob sent me a pic from Rob's Rods and Streetcars. If I can do this without a glaring there. Anyway, there you go. That's from Rob. Hello, Dennis, cousin Cletus. How's everyone this Halloween night? Hope you're well. Is it here? Did the live just stop? Well, I stopped it for a few minutes because I had to get Jethro moved to a warm place. He's got a spot where he takes a nap where he won't be in here barking. Hello, Sully. Does nothing special. Yeah, it's gonna take a minute. It takes me a little longer. This knee is still messed up, so I'm not moving very fast. Dressed as a customer of the No Name Nationals website, possibly. Yeah, Rich has everyone blocked, of course. Playing with the kids during trick or treat, that's cool. Hey, anyone have wagon parts? Yeah, Thumper, check out on his channel. He got a pretty cool, was it 60, is it 65 Catalina? Is that what it is? Dennis said I was a bum today. Cool. I was wanting to get started Halloween. I got a slow start because I had so much work to do. It was just off the handle today because it's the last day of the month. All these people that have to get all your stuff done and your bills paid and all your stuff wrapped up before the end of the business day on the 31st and the last day of the month, hey, they got to realize Halloween is the last day of the month. They should give us some room for that. Dennis says, I've never had trick-or-treaters here over 12 years. Yeah, this is a neighborhood, and we got all kinds of them. I mean, we usually have over 100. Danny Boy says Ponderosa sure had a great salad bar. Yeah, we had Ponderosa where I lived, and it is no more. They tore it down, but the strip mall where Hills was is still there. Yes, No Name Nationals date announcement coming soon. Yes, sir. I always do it by the last Friday of the year, but we had it before Thanksgiving last year. Hope to have it the same this year. Rob said about 120-ish. Yeah. I don't really know because I got here about 6:30, so he never gets any because he's in the country. I can understand that. Mexican Specs says I haven't had a trick or treater since 2019. Yeah, this neighborhood swarms with them. I was worried about the weather, but it turned out to be pretty nice this evening. So no, but it's fun. Usually I take the van down and open up the barn doors on the side so I can say one day a year it really is a free candy van for little kids. But I didn't this year. Did something a little different arrangement out there, but had a bunch of trick or treaters. It was cool. I think we had them in age everywhere from 9 months old up to about 50 years. Let's see. Scott says, tomorrow I'm picking up a 72 Charger. They were going to crush it. It has a title. I'm going to try selling it for $2,500. Missing the fenders, engine, and something. Hey, that'll be cool. Yeah. You're not just going to put it up for sale and then scrap it? All right. I hope that flip goes well for you. I had a friend of mine had a 72 Charger that I went to high school with, and he died. Still at the car. He died. It sat up at his mom's, and then someone tried to consign it for the mom to sell it, and they wound up disappearing with the car and never saw it again. Just stole it. So anyway, I have no idea where that went, but anyway, that car got stolen after my friend died. Stole it from his mom. Oh, and it only had 68,000 miles on it, but these were not necessarily as nice as 68,000 miles. It was kind of a mess, but it was a pretty complete car, 68,000 miles. 318. Levi says, I'm in the middle of nowhere, but our town has one, and it's usually great for the kids. The cops help with traffic, family oriented. Yeah. Johnny C says, sunny and 66 here in the Bay Area of California. Thinking there may be a few trick-or-treaters soon as sundown arrives. That's right. Thumper says 68,000 miles in the 80s was usually needed everything. That was considerable mileage back then. That was not considered a low mileage car back then. Thumper is correct. There's a reason odometers never even went over 100,000. Meanwhile, the CRV's got 373,000 miles and just I'm gonna jinx myself, but I don't know how that card still runs so well. I mean, man, I put a valve cover gasket on it once. I don't think it ever mattered. It still continued to leak, but I've never done anything in there. So, for all practical intents and purposes, the valve cover could never have been off of it. Cletus is going to be watching the Arkansas game. Clear in 53. I used to go to every Virginia Tech home football game. I did not miss one from Miami in 1995 until the end of 2021, with the exceptions of the stadium closures for COVID in 2020. And then I did not renew my season tickets after 2021 after Dad was gone. So Dad was gone. He always wanted to go. Mom was unable to do all that. So that's when I let the tickets go. I haven't been to a Tech home game since. I'd like to, but I just haven't. Heavens Mopar Scott says, I'm trying to pack away some money for the trip to Sykeston next year. That's what you got to do. You got to save a little bit. With any money I make from selling the 72 Charger. So I guess you paid scrap price for it, I'm guessing. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's amazing what those things used to sell for. 72 Charger used to be a really cheap car. The second generation Charger was the only one that brought any money, and that's changed. First and third generation Chargers bring money now. And they should. They're worthy cars. Cousin Cletus is saying build it. Cletus, you do realize Scott's got a lot of builds going on. Razorback Stadium's right at 2 hours away from me. Too far to go to every game, Cletus says. Understandable. Lane Stadium is maybe 15 minutes from me. Even on game day, it doesn't even take a half hour to get in there. And that's if I go kickoff. See, I used to have a pretty sweet deal, and I had parking in lot 2, which is right at the steps. Really premium. That's a whole other story. I can maybe tell on here sometime. I used to have really premium parking, and I would sit on the 4 rows back on the 11-yard line, 16K, had really good seats, but I have not renewed them from 2022 forward. "38 Racing says, boo, Jeepers Creepers loaded up for after the live." Cool. You know what? That movie, Ray could have starred in that movie. I could just see that working with him from where he's from and everything. It all kind of makes sense. Thumper says 71 to 74 Chargers look goofy with those skinny tires, oxidized paint, and hubcaps. Good wheels, lowered, B or RB in it. The lowered thing, no. Good wheels are okay, but they did have a lot of overhang with the sheet metal. And yeah, big block is a natural for those cars. I like the 73 and 4 that have the weird looking C pillar window. I thought those were pretty cool. So I liked all those third gen Chargers. The creepiest one is from that movie Wheels of Terror. How many of y'all remember Wheels of Terror? It was a made for TV movie, and it was about a creepy, it was either a 73, maybe a 74 Charger. And it was flat black and had this weird modification to the grill and the hood where it pointed down a little in the middle. Really creepy looking car. And it would abduct children. It was like a made for TV movie. Does Nothing Special says, I know I-81 sucks when Tech has the game. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm living right in the thick of it. Of course, I know the back ways to get in and out of there without hitting any traffic. Dennis owned a 73 Charger and raced it for a while. Does Dakota need to talk to Scott about a Charger? Dakota's looking for like a 68 or 9, maybe 70, 68 or 9 preferably. I think he wants to do a General Lee. Cletus says, I have a 94 Ram 2500 van. That's cool. I like it. Mexican Spec said the 71 to 74 Chargers were too close to the Coronet of the same year. I don't think they should be big dollar cars. I mean, it doesn't matter what we think they should be. It's what the public wants to pay for them. I mean, it's what the public pays. Of course, I like the Coronets those years too. And you can also say, well, the Roadrunner was too close to the Belvedere, can't you? The Roadrunner and the Belvedere are a whole lot closer than the Charger and the Coronets of those years, I think, right? Dust Devil Brian says, howdy, everyone. How you doing, Dust Devil Brian? Brian has told me about an upgrade to the 2026 fireworks show he wants to put on at the No Name Nationals. So we do some fireworks shenanigans in the Burnout Pit again for the 5th annual. Brian's looking to make some upgrades. Cletus says cars are worth what people will pay for them. And yeah, that's the truth. I mean, it's not for us to say what the market should be. It's what people pay. Hey, look at that. Unfinished Project put up a link. Watch Wheels of Terror here. Yeah, if you've not seen it, it's a 1990. It's a creepy old made-for-TV movie, but it does have a 3rd-gen Charger in it. And if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth a watch. It's not one of those that, it's not like Christine. It's not one that you'll watch periodically and think about or anything, but it's so budget movies worth watching. Levi's asking one of these rhetorical questions here that he knows the answer to before he asks, and asks it anyway. Does building a custom set of stainless headers make good content for the YouTube? I'm not gonna answer him. Yeah, Unfinished Project says tempo in the opening scene. That is correct. I forgot about that. Exactly. Levi asks, because it's a super long process and we multi-part. Well, sure, you know that. You know that. Levi say multiple parts make people shy away from videos in my experience. Well, maybe, but you're only going to get the more serious people tune into multiple parts. You got to realize the most views are these shorts where people just scroll like zombies. You're never going to get as many people tune in to quality content, multiple parts, and you're never going to get that. So I would say just do it and make shorts out of the cool stuff and don't worry about it. Cletus says, almost done with my shop. Then it's time to get back to making videos and building some projects. Right on. Russell suggests condensing it to a single video. Yeah. I mean, you can do multiple parts and you can always put that in a single video. There's different ways to do it. And he suggests using playlists. Yes. Playlists are helpful. Colleen says, Bobby Frizzell's Galaxy. Legacy is a movie car, 46 minutes into Carolina Grindhouse, B-rated. It's not a B-rated movie, it's a B movie. Is there a link to that, Colleen, where you can get that movie, or a link or to at least go to see it? Either watch the movie or a link to get it? Yes, I checked that out. I know that there's other stuff. I won't give away anything here, but yes, Cletus. Dina's saying Levi needs to argon back purge and show us the welds. Dust Devil wants to find a place to watch Maximum Overdrive now. You know, these are good Halloween movies. They're car related, but they are good Halloween movies. You guys got a good playlist here. So Wheels of Terror, Carolina, was it Carolina Grindhouse? Is that the name of it? And Maximum Overdrive. Maximum Overdrive. And of course, everyone's going to say Christine, but there's a lot of great car movies that make good Halloween movies. That weird one of Quentin Tarantino's. What was that one he did that had Kurt Russell? Death Proof. He said the public never really got what he was trying to do, and I kind of get it when he explained it, but yeah, that one fell flat with me. Colleen puts up a link to Carolina Grindhouse right here. Bobby Frizzell's Galaxies at 46 minutes in. Cletus says Maximum Overdrive is free on Tubi, whatever that is. I'm not hip enough to know. Love Me B movies. You know what? I like a lot of those old movies, those old budget movies from like the 70s. Kind of neat. Because I don't like CGI at all. CGI is the fakest looking thing ever. A movie, I just don't like any movie that has it. It just kills it for me. Dennis says free channel on Roku and others. Okay, so I guess it's like that. Cletus liked the van that was dressed up as dog on Dumb and Dumber. Yeah, I think that was just a Ford Econoline that had all that going on. I don't know what became of it. I think that channel called Car Stars did a feature on that. That's a great channel, by the way, Car Stars. And that dude does a really good job with those videos. He has lots of movie and TV cars featured on there and goes into depth, like maybe 10 things you didn't know about them or something like that. It's worth checking out. I know there's a video of the Dumb and Dumber van on there. World of Wood Chip says Young Frankenstein is a favorite. Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of the car-oriented Halloween movies. Unfinished Project says the first movie to use CGI is Vertigo in 1958. Well, there's always that weird exception, but when did they just start making movies that were just all that? And now what I'm hearing is they can pretty much use CGI just to create and fabricate anything an actor would do in a movie, to the point where all of these actors who aren't even alive anymore, they can just create their participation in movies. I just don't like where it's going at all. We know where it's going. It's just going to get to where you can't believe anything you see or hear anymore. I mean, I know that's bad enough with all the fake news or whatever, but yeah, that when I went to the Mission Impossible movie, one of those later, just in the last couple of years. And the only reason I went to it is because I really wanted to go in a movie in the new Granada Theater in Bluefield. They had just renovated it, and I really wanted to see it. And it did a fabulous job in there. It is fantastic. First class work. But it was a Tom Cruise. And there's some scene, with a train and all this. And the whole time watching it, all I can think of is, yeah, I bet Tom Cruise enjoyed hanging in front of that green screen. I mean, something about it. I mean, people like it and they can suspend disbelief enough to watch stuff like that. That's great. But CGI is just weird to me. That's why I like older movies. We just went to see Back to the Future yesterday. It's playing here this week for the 40th anniversary. And, I like that. I mean, yeah, they had to do some stuff to get the lightning bolt, but I mean, that movie was real. It's real stunts, real people, real cars, all that. That's what movies should have. Unfinished Project says Toy Story 1995 was the first feature-length film to be entirely CGI. Yeah, it's trickled in over time. Cletus says CGI is so fake and lame. Facebook is pretty much AI videos and fake AI news. I really just buy cars on Marketplace now. Yeah, I get it. I'm really glad that YouTube cracked down on all this AI video and narration and took all the monetization out, because all that garbage was just stealing from real content creators like you guys, just taken from all of you. So I just didn't agree with any of that. Yeah, pretty soon they'll be able to make a Tom Cruise movie and he wouldn't even know they made it. It's just about there, I think. And I'm not crazy about it at all. One can only hope. Yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you though, I mean, Tom Cruise, he's all right. He's okay. I mean, I like a lot of stuff he's been in. He's okay, but he's kind of to the point now to where no matter what part he plays, he's just Tom Cruise, and I think that's what happens when they get just so well known, so famous. But he always plays some kind of intense character, you know. Yeah. Cletus asks, has anyone ever done a Christmas gift for Car Guys video? I don't know. That's not bad. You should think about that, Cletus. That sounds like something in your wheelhouse. Mohawk says, I'm liking the AI remaster music and the AI generated music. Okay, it sounds weird. Don likes Days of Thunder. I thought he was good in Days of Thunder. Although, what I like about Days of Thunder is Robert Duvall. I like his stuff. And they were both in that, of course. And I like all the participation of the actual NASCAR drivers. And that movie was kind of neat. I mean, to just be able to enjoy movies in general, for the most part, you got to get past a lot of just total bogosity to do it. But Dale Earnhardt himself cameoed in Stroker Ace. I didn't know that. I never knew that. Ever watched Secondhand Lines with Duvall? I've heard of it. I've never seen it. Cousin Cletus said Talladega Nights was better than Days of Thunder. I've never seen Talladega Nights. Only seen a clip or two, but I've only seen a few. And I don't even know it's fair to compare them because they were just completely different eras and everything, different angle, you know. But I remember Robert Duvall as the crew chief in Days of Thunder. He let Tom Cruise says, go out and run however many laps any way you want. And the car weighs half as much and the tires are twice as wide. Then he brings him in the pits. They change the tires. He says, now the car weighs twice as much and the tires are half as wide. Run it my way. And he came in and the tires still looked good. He said, my way was quicker. That was cool. Kind of a neat scene. Cletus says Ricky Bobby was the best NASCAR racer ever. Yeah, perhaps. That was in the scene racing the bus carts in the hotel. Run 50 laps your way and 50 my way in 3 seconds. It's something like that. I remember being 50, but I don't. I mean, yeah, that sounds right though. Dust Devil says, was Days of Thunder Top Gun with cars or Top Gun Days of Thunder with planes? That's a good question. That's a good thought-provoking question for the chat. What say you guys who've seen both? I'm going to say that Eyes Wide Shut was Days of Thunder with, well, I don't know. We don't need to make that comparison. Yes, the tires were blistered. Danny Boyd says Cocktail was both those movies, but set in the bar. See, exactly. It's just getting to where it's just Tom Cruise. What is? Oh, I see. I see what's happened here. My camera mount is laying on the top of my screen. Glad I noticed that. If I'd have closed this laptop, it'd crash in the floor. I was wondering why it was moving. It shouldn't be. Okay. I'm glad I saw that. So I'm going to just not mess with that for the rest of this live, and I'll fix it later. Yeah, I see that. And my camera mount clamped over there, and it's loosened up. Scott's paying $500 for the charger. Okay, that's barely above scraps. That's not bad, man. You want to text me a picture? I'll put it up on the screen if you want. There you go. This Devil Garage's Eyes Wide Shut was the Days of Thunder Weird Hour. That's not a bad way of describing it. Robert Duvall's a very good actor, one of my favorites. Yeah, I like Robert Duvall. He is 94 years old now. I don't know when he was in a movie last, but 94. Cletus says, I just picked up a GoPro 3 for $20 off of Marketplace. Wow. Sounds like a deal. The reliability problems are what's kept me from going to the GoPro. I mean, I have an older iPhone. I would rather just film with it. Cousin Cletus says he's older than Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson's older than dirt. So if Robert Duvall's even older than him. Yeah, Willie's 94. Well, they're both 94. Duvall was good in the new Gone with 60 Seconds. I would agree with that. I believe he was. And that newer Gone with 60 Seconds isn't bad. And there's people kind of pan that movie, but I don't think it was bad at all. It was okay. You know, one of the worst things about that movie, I thought, was that ridiculous jump they did at the end. When people do the movie was fine. The stunts were believable and all of that stuff. All of it was good until they got to that. They had to go do something, one of these everyone knows cannot work in 1 million years, goofy, fake things. I'm like, why did they do that? It didn't need that. If you're going to do it, do a real 200-foot jump, kind of like Wyatt used to do in the General Lee. Do something real like that. But I mean, remember in Man with the Golden Gun, that corkscrew jump with the AMC on the broken bridge, they did that in one take for real. That was so cool. It doesn't have to be some, jumping to outer space with a Mustang that could never really happen. I thought that took away from the movie. I wish they'd done something much more believable. William Shatner, yeah, he's up in his 90s. Looks like he's 60. Yeah, I think he's had hair replacement and everything else. Yeah, good for him. He looks awfully good for his age. Old McDonald, the biggest mistake Cruise made was trying to portray Jack Reacher. I don't know. I hear people say they like that, but I've just never seen any of those. Dust Devil said he's had his GoPro for 10 years and never had a problem. Uh, Most people I hear have had reliability problems with them. I'm glad you haven't, Brian. I've only worked with a Faux Pro, one of the knockoffs, and not had good luck with it. Cletus say it was pretty mid or mild. I think Angelina Jolie was why it wasn't great. I don't know. She was. I don't know. I don't know what she brought to it, frankly. It wasn't a bad movie though. It was okay. Dean says that's because the GoPro haven't recording in 90 psi environments. Okay, well that's crazy. Dust Devil said it gets over 100 in his shop with high humidity. It's odd yours hasn't shut down heat. That's true. Most people I know say they're shut down in that much heat. So you got a good one, Brian. What can we say? All right, this is what Scott bought for $500. Hey, man, you got your money there. I mean, it looks like it to me. I'm seeing it. Been sitting here for at least 15 years. No motor, but it does have a 727. If that's the original 727, it's got the good pump because it's 71 up, which has the wide bushing. That's a good transmission to build. It's a 72 SE. I think Scott scored on that. Good deal, man. Good for you. Hope it finds a new home. Bill at Rally Wheels. I was looking at that. What are those? No, they're not. I don't know what those are. Those are not the billet rallies. Cletus thinks it should have a third gen Hemi. Boo. That's a builder all day and all. I'd agree. Looks like I can't see how much rust is on it from here. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm looking there. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. It really doesn't. And just in pictures. Cletus says, you want to make a trade? Dust Devil says the Charger's worth it. I know he's not going to, but you could flip that for 3 or 4 times the money. Well, that's actually what Scott's planning to do, is flip it for 5 times the money. That's exactly what he said he's going to do, actually, Brian. He says it has the title. Has the title, has the van. Is it a 318 car? It's a good score. Dust Devil Brian says AMD is making rear quarters for those Chargers now. Wow, that's exciting. That's cool. I mean, I know AMD discontinues a lot of stuff, but I'm glad as much of this can be saved as possible. Brian, how much AMD is going to wind up in your satellite, and what do they make and what do they not? Because I know a lot of your sheet metal would, cross with a Roadrunner and so forth and so on. I just don't know. What are you going to be able to utilize of AMD for it? I would imagine AMD makes practically everything for like a 69 Roadrunner or a Charger or whatever. a Roadrunner is a satellite. Well, I'm just saying there are little differences, like, hoods and stuff like that. But I'm wondering how much they're going to make that he needs. He said they make quarters for it, which is a good deal. Cletus says the oldest vehicle I have right now is a 76 Ford Courier. I want to get a few older vehicles, but they are expensive here in Arkansas. Talk to just Mopar Joe. Dean's trying to get Johan's models to make a roof section for Scott. Brian says maybe rear patches and everything on the front except the fenders. And fenders are going to be the hard part. Yeah, I've heard that from several people, actually. Fenders are hard for those. Is it just because that marker light's 1 year only? Is that the only difference between that and a 72 fender? Obviously, 3 and 4 were different. That trim level stuff is just, I've never really cared about any of that. Roadrunner, Belvedere, Satellite, GTX, it's just all B-body to me. I actually like the Roadrunner style taillights better than those recessed GTX taillights. That's just a personal preference. But Heavens Mopars is planning on using the money to sell it to put toward the cost to get to and from the No Name Nationals next year with the Duster. That said, we're going to be doing something. We announced the dates. We're going to be doing something to help Scott. So be on the lookout for that. That is coming. Cletus says, Joe lives about 30 minutes from me. I see him every once in a while. I guess I need to ask him about all the... Well, Joe will be the one to ask. He's kind of like the mayor of that area of Arkansas. I think you're the mayor of Conway, and he is the mayor of Lone Oak, I think. I think it's a fair way to put it. Indirect connection. Howdy, Jason. Mr. Okra. Good to see you tonight. Mexican Spec says, what Roadrunner taillights are different from the GTX the same year? I could almost, let's see, I might be able to show you. Let's see here. Oh, they're different. Go find it. And then, okay. Here's the Roadrunner taillight. This is like what mine has. That's the normal 69 Roadrunner taillight. Now let's see if I can find the GTX taillight. It's different. It's all recessed in. It is different. Mexican Specs said the 70 Satellite had different taillights from the Roadrunner, but the GT had the same. Best Devil Brian says the 71 and 72 taillights are different. 72s are ugly. Mohawk said if I had the money, that Charger would make a great candidate for Triple Crown. We still got to build it. And the other thing, too, is as heavy as those cars are, remember, you can't get over 368 cubic inches. And so then you're, what kind of weight break can you get? I don't ever know that I thought much about that difference. I kind of noticed it, never thought much about it. I never did like the upscale grills. Like the Coronet 500 had this weird bar in the middle of the grill in 69. I like the Super B and the regular Coronet grill much better than the RT. But the 500 had this weird thing in the middle of the grill. I always thought it looked weird. Of course, I like the 68 Charger grill better than the 69. 69 had that beak in the middle of it. Johnny C says, I always wanted a 4-door Belvedere. 68, yeah, great choice. Great choice. Belvedere versus Satellite taillight, probably. Maybe. No, I don't think the Satellites. I think the Satellites had the same taillight as the Roadrunner and the Belvedere. I don't know. You B-body aficionados could tell me. Like this guy right here, Bigfoot Mark. B-body might be a tad heavy for Triple Crown. That's what I'm thinking, because you can't get over 400. You can't get over 368 cubic inches. See, if you could at 9 pounds per cubic inch, that Charger was heavy. If you could have a big block, now that would change things. But that's not what the class is. Don says JMJ ranks right up there in most things he does. I just mentioned in the chat about wanting a cam. He said, I got one on the shelf that'll wake that RV 440 right up, and we fired it up at No Name Nationals. Yeah, Don's car has really changed character with that new build in it. It's pretty amazing what Don has done with that car. Watching it evolve and progress. It's been fun. Build a K car for Triple Crown? Well, I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head what your rule limitations are for the platform, because I don't know that you can just do a V8 or anything for it. So then what are you stuck with? Can you do a power adder? Could you do one in like a 2.2 with a turbo? Because that could be viable, I guess. But it's front wheel drive. I don't think there's any K car combination that works in Triple Crown. Tanner was doing good with his Satellite. Yeah. Year 5's going to be epic. I hope so. It will be if all you guys show up. That's really is the key. Is everybody just showing up? Indirect Connection says, I'm still driving my 67 Belvedere every day. I want to drive the Satellite, but there's no heat and I need defrost already. Yeah, I hear that. Hot Rod Guy Garage, they used to make a rear-wheel drive conversion for the front-wheel drive Mopars that bolted in the stock locations. Yes, they did. And they marketed it for these little IROC Daytonas and stuff. And it had the K-frame and everything. I remember that. I don't know if it was a K-frame, but it was a conversion kit that was sold through Mopar Performance. I thought that was neat. Clea says, need to get some more burnout competitors. That Tesla burnout was lame. It was memorable. It was different. Yeah, we'll have more burnout competitors. But I'll tell you what was the highlight to me was Russell. Russell calling his shot the year before and doing exactly what he said he was going to do. I thought that was pretty cool. But I expect a bigger burnout competition for 2026. It just kind of ebbs and flows like that. Indirect Connection Jason says, there was a guy who did a rear drive conversion on an Intrepid. The 318 fit nicely. Did you know an Intrepid has the same length, width, and curb weight as like a 70 Dart? Exactly. And yet the Dart was considered a compact car in 1970, and the Intrepid, when it came out, was considered full size. And they are the same length, same width, same weight. The Intrepid had more wheelbase, of course, because it was that goofy, cab corner deal that Chrysler was doing at the time. That S10 was wild. Yeah, Russell brings it every year. He brings something cool. Dennis says, be good to see a 57 Chevy with a big blower on it in the burnout competition. Well, that won't happen. He doesn't want to sell that car. I suspect Larry wants it out of his yard, though, if I had to guess. Mohawk says, turn that Charger Scott's looking at into a burnout car. Well, yeah, it would work. But I can't tell much from that picture, but it doesn't look completely rotted out. I mean, at least the corner down there at the bottom of the A-pillar looks like it's all still there. That looked like pretty decent little deal there. Mid-South lowballer. I wanted to turbocharge my Rampage, but have to replace the whole drivetrain. I'll have to live with 93 horsepower. I wouldn't say that. There's a lot you can do. Doesn't have to be that one. No, it doesn't. Sure doesn't. There's plenty of old ditch jumper 57s out there for a lot less than he's asking. And probably better cars. Jason's Garage Inc. says happy Halloween. Well, Rob, it's Rob's day zero on his orange paper now. Indirect connection. Look next to John's left shoulder. Do it. It happens. Cousin Cletus says just need a mohawk and some American flag pants for that Rampage. It would add 5,000 horsepower. Maybe. Is that the broken rod? Well, these all have a story. I mean, this came out of Bad Tree Productions' Nacho Cuda. This came out of Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage Engine in Casper before he had the Hemi. I was actually driving beside him filming the truck when this rod went through the block. This came out of Stephen Meyer's Big Block 402's truck on the track at the No Name Nationals. All of these have a story. Big Mike of the Hoopty Barn. Hello, sir. Glad you could make it. Did you guys enjoy your trick-or-treating? Who in the chat actually went trick-or-treating? You don't have to tell us if you were out there with a pillowcase getting candy or if you were out there, with kids or grandkids. Cletus says, I don't want to be part of that storyboard. Well, I'll tell you, that's how you get on it. Big Mike just settled in after spending the day at the auction. Those things are too addictive. Medium Mike. He'll always be Big Mike. Johnny C's currently handing out treats. That's right, but you're on the West Coast. Trick or Treat in 2025 is in the books here. Yeah, I was kind of surprised by how few kids actually got the drill to go say trick or treat. How many of them just, I don't know. It's I guess it's not quite the same thing it is now as when we were little kids. One-Eyed Cat says, I'll be hanging my old radiator core on my wall here in the next week or two, going to a 4-core for this kind of money. Oh boy, that's an expensive proposition. It cost you a few $100s to do that. Bigfoot Mark says, so many classes, but let's get the grudge racing and call-out videos rolling this year before the... Yes, that's what it was built on, right? People keep saying classes. I mean, forget that. Make call-outs. Cousin Cletus says, I need to build something crazier than Big Mike this year. Good luck. Of course, Big Mike is going to be judging the Frankenstein Award. Big Mike said it was the least organized, unprofessional auction he's been to in a long time. Yeah, they're not all equal, Some of those auction companies, although there can be deals to be had, when you run across an auction company that doesn't do good descriptions or kind of lazy, sometimes that can result in some good deals for the people who know what they're doing too. Indirect Connection says, I didn't go, but there was a mysterious white van with candy following me today. I almost gave in, but I don't eat sweets. Cletus says, I could build a Frankenstein build. Yeah, they should put the word out on it. Frankenstein C20 is got an award for the most Frankenstein type of build. Dennis says, what I know is I have 7 tractors to finish out, Dart Sport to finish painting. We'll see what next year brings. Lots of things on my table. Indeed. Big Mike's got to go back tomorrow to retrieve my purchases. Sounds cool. Big Mike says, I bought 6 of the biggest axles I've ever seen. Wow. Six of the biggest axles I've ever seen. What are they? What are they? Are they Rockwell, or they have Planetaries, Clark, or what are they? Are they going to be attached to the same car for No Name Nationals 2026? Yeah, it's kind of a thought there. I kind of guess Mike wouldn't do that, but if he would, that might be pretty cool too. Yeah, like a monster truck. That's what I'm thinking, Dennis. I wouldn't mind having some 5-ton or 2.5-ton axles. Exactly. Barrows knows what's up. Look at that. You talk about monster truck axles, and there's Barrows. Bucks Cuda sure is coming along. Yes, it is. M&H axles. Hopefully not mobile home axles. Gosh. Oh. A lot of people make car trailers using the mobile home axles. I guess they're okay. One thing about those things that bug me is, when you think about it, those things are just pretty much made to move a trailer one time. You got to wonder how durable they are for regular road use. But I know a lot of people that have used those axles and done well with them. Those trailers are heavy when they do that. They are nice and wide, though. That is kind of nice. Then it says that the Crude is going to be a bad, fast car now. Yeah, it's got a 512 stroker. Mike's building a monster truck with 4 slicks for No Name Nationals 2026. That may be. I wouldn't put it past him. The one-eyed cat's going to be happy with something bigger than a 7 1/4 rear, but wants to break this one first. Yeah, you know, an 8 3/4 are very expensive, but the 8 1/4 I think would live in that thing and do just fine. Yeah, M&H, Marmon, Harrington, military axles. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Y'all know more about that than I do. Barrow says 2 5-ton Rockwell front axles and a 2.5-ton transfer case. Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what you're talking about. You need front axles so you get the rear wheel steering. You won't break an 8 1/4. I think that'd be just fine for Dawn. I really do. An A-body 8 1/4. I think it will do everything Dawn needs it to do. And the gears are plentiful for those things and cheap. Mike sent some pics. Oh, wow. All right. This is what Big Mike sent. All right, you people. What are those out of? Something huge. I'm sure they were a deal. Anyway, that's what Mike sent me. So you guys know what those are? I don't. But they sure look heavy. Dust Devil has really increased his work environment. He has. He has. He's working on the satellite. Don says, I'd be happy with an 8 1/4. I don't need to shock load it. Just need a better gear someday. Yeah, I mean, I think an 8 1/4 live in that car pretty well. But just I would look for one from an A body to get the best fit on the wheels. Got that one you have is pretty narrow. Because if you want to narrow it, you could get a cheap 8 3/4 basically out of a truck or something if you wanted to narrow. But then when you narrow it, you run into all that expense. So 4-wheel steer, yeah. Looks military, kind of does. But I don't know what that one was. It was weird. 20 each, couldn't help myself. Well, yeah, you're not going to get hurt. I'm curious what they are, though. I hope you do a video telling what they are. $20, yeah, I just don't know what they are. They're cool, though. Barrow says the second picture looks like Dana 70s. Oh, if that's the case. Dennis says industrial end loader, rear and front. Okay. Dennis would know. Big Mike says, when I get home, I'll run the casting numbers. Okay. I'm kind of curious if they are now. I remember the earliest monsters, of course, when they first started upgrading the axles, would use the 2.5 ton Rockwells, and they didn't use planetaries. Then they went to the 5 tons with the planetaries, and that kept them from breaking the axles. And that kind of became the standard for a long time, was 5-ton Rockwell. Oh, look at this. Scott says, I think I have an A-body 8 1/4. Dawn, you can have it. Boom. There you go. That's what I was thinking, Barrows. First pick looks like a Clark Banjo. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was a Clark. That's kind of was my thought there. But there you go, Dawn. Scott has an 8 1/4. So I think there's going to be some parts movement going from west to east over the course of the year, and that could happen. The gears are easy to come by. What gear ratio is possible? I wouldn't even worry about it. They put those things in Jeep Liberties. They put them in Cherokees. They put that 8 1/4 in all kinds of stuff. You should not have any problem getting a gear and a sure grip for it. But that said, be nice if it already had something good in there. But being an A-body, it probably didn't. But they're not bad to do. Just do them when they're out of the car. I hate doing gears laying on my back up under the car. I would much rather do them on jack stands. Yeah, look around, Scott. See what you got there. Yeah, that first one's massive. Yes, it is. How are you going to move it? I hope they have a fork truck there and you got some cribbing for your trailer. Dennis is saying 270s or 323. Yeah, maybe a 323. 276 or 323 is probably right. I'm thinking there might be some stuff moving from Scott's to east before then, One-Eyed Cat. He may have a chance to get that to you sooner, maybe. They have a tractor with forks. Yeah, I kind of figured. Most auctions are set up to be ready to move some stuff. Big Mike says, I also bought a 225 slant 6 with a transmission for $30. Nice. What transmission? What? Tell me more about the 6. Do you know? Well, it's a 225. What kind of transmission's on it? Dawn's willing to pitch in if there's shipping involved. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Dean says the passenger car ratios went from 245 to 321, so it might be the same. Yeah, maybe. One of Cat says, I'll give you 50. Yeah, Mike, you could make pretty good. Sounds like yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Evans Mopars may ship the Duster with a trucking company in flight. Maybe. We're gonna be working on that this year. Scott's year to get a car there. First 2 years we ran 2 tons from a deuce and a half rock wheels, but that big block Ford would explode the ball and claw style knuckles with the 66s. Swapped to 510s that had held for over 5. Yeah, that was typically, and wasn't it the Planetaries that made them more durable? That you ran Planetaries? Yeah, Dust Devil says, Scott, if you can help him find 71 sheet metal, Dust Devil Garage is needing some panels. Big Mike says it's an automatic. Didn't look much at it, kind of buried behind stuff. I'm guessing it was a 904. The 727, if that would be the case, it'd be pretty popular. You didn't see too many of those. Indirect Jason says, Scott, you need to live dangerously. Cousin Cletus says, you think you'll do the potluck dinner again this year? Yes, that is the plan. Yes. The One-Eyed Cat says it's getting him motivated all over again. I love this community. It's a blessing in so many ways. Hey, this is the off season. Now's the time to plot and plan these moves. And we're glad to have you in this community. Dust Devil says 71 or 72. I guess the fenders would be different, right? But would the doors be the same? And what about the hood? I guess the bumper's the same. I don't know exactly what little nuance differences there are between a 71 and 2 satellite. Cousin Cletus said the automotive community is the best community on YouTube. Best community anywhere, not just YouTube. Later, Dennis. Run, Dennis, run. Glad you were here. I couldn't resist. Well, I know. There you go, Dennis. He wrote a song just for you. I think he was 3 sheets to the wind when he was singing it, too. I ran. Yeah, I know. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Dust Devil says 71 and 2 about everything could work. 73 and 4 everything. Well, I know it could work. I know it could work, but I just don't know what differences and what you're looking to put on there. Wendy's committed a bigger batch of macro engines. Yeah, it was popular. Wendy's back. Look at that, Don. You mention her and she reappears. Evans Mopar Scott, I wonder if I can join Jamie in a convoy, share a big trailer, and split the. Maybe. Just talk to him. Maybe. We need a Western convoy. We do need that. We need someone who has a 7-car trailer from the West. Because we can get power to pull it. I mean, Tony's Hot Rod Garage has talked about that. He'd be willing to pull it. He's got the truck for it. He's got a CDL. We could probably handle that part. It's got to have the trailer. Those things are expensive. Okay, Dust Devil's saying the only difference is the marker lights. I knew that one. I didn't know if there were any others or not. Northern Convoy? Sure. Convoys from anywhere. I have to be there so early. It's just no real way to do a convoy. But that said, I like being there first and greeting people as they come in, and works really well. Cousin Cletus says, I've got a 53-foot semi-trailer. Not sure you could get cars in it. Well, you could. You can. The problem would be just diminishing returns, I would think, over if you could do like a I mean, that may have some merit. The unloading part's tricky. You would need a rollback to get the cars in and out on each end. Now, what would be cool with that is if you could do a double decker, 3 cars up and 3 cars down. That'd be wild. Indirect connection saying if I can get vacation in the spring, I might drive out instead of fly. Dust Devil Garage says, I really don't need a convoy, but I can join in on any ones for the last couple hours. Yeah, Dust Devil might want to do it just for the camaraderie. Maybe he could run support vehicle. Maybe. I don't know. Big Mike. I don't even want to know how you say that. What is that? Avis Pon Blanco? Is that what that is? Is that what Stelio Contos drives? Clear says he'd trade that 53-foot trailer for the 73 Charger. There you go, Scott. Have something else to drag in. Dougster sneaked in. Well, there's a sentence you probably don't hear very often. Stormtrooper. Just don't go to the Stormtrooper Marksmanship Academy. Dougster says, strength in numbers is my philosophy. Plus, usually a group drive is a hoot. Okay. Indirect connection says, maybe I can trade one of our trailers for something. Oops. Trade it for some okra, right? Plot of land to grow your okra on. Mexican Specs telling Big Mike that the mystery is better, perhaps. Scott says, I do also have an L700 fifth wheel. Needs some love. Would love to put a diesel in it. Has a 413. Then need a 2-car trailer, so don't have to get a CDL. And by 2037, that would be awesome. Dougster, the graffiti artist. Levi says, okra is Jason's favorite food. I think so. I think he's a closet okra fan. Better than a closet Oprah fan. I gotta tell you, okra is weird, though. Is okra food? I'm not convinced. I'm just not sure. We're told it is, but the jury's still out on that one. Not for humans, Levi says. Probably right. Yeah, okras. I mean, it is weird looking too, the cross section of it. Cutter Down Garage 303 says, hi everyone, happy Halloween. Happy Halloween to you too. Okra Winfrey, maybe. When you're hungry, it's all good. Oh, I wouldn't go that far. Dougster likes the okra. Mohawk's looking for a center section. He wants something in the 3s, mid to high 3s for his Scamp. You get them, but you got to pay for them. That's a tall order there. Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell says, pickled okra. Fried okra sounds good to me. Yeah, it's okay. It's not really. Dust Devil says, I eat fried okra all the time. I don't know what's wrong with you people. Yeah, I mean, I've tried it. I've eaten a little of it. It's nothing I ever crave. Jason says, I'll never be that hungry ever. I mean, it doesn't have cheese. It's not in the cheese or the beer group or any of that other stuff that Wisconsin people like. Okay, Colleen sent me this. This is what that is, apparently. So, okay. We now know things. Jason, what happened here? What happened there? Who did that? You didn't do that, did you? Barrow says, I like fried okra, but every time I see it, I think indirect connection in that t-shirt. Yes. Man, my knee wasn't messed up. I'd run and grab that shirt and show everybody right now. How many of you in here have not seen the famous okra t-shirt? The forklift driver decided to use the wall as a steering wheel. That sounds perfectly reasonable. Cutter Down Garage 303 says frozen landing gear and big biceps. Yeah, there was some work putting that back together. Dr. Doe says my Louisiana side of my family loves okra. Yeah, I can see that. Levi just wants to know if that driver got canned for doing that to that. I guess with the fork truck. Indecisive Garage says, howdy, everyone. You too, JW. Just got home from visiting the Niagara Falls area and saw Cope. Ah, did you get a drum brake style trans brake on your transmission while you were there? Right on. Niagara Falls, Indiana. He's lucky he was over the landing gear. Had been 20 feet back, things would have had a different outcome. Oh, yikes. I could see that. It would have been a lot worse. Makes a lot of sense. Levi said he'd fit in with the fork truck drivers around here. Don says that's the reason I don't drive a forklift. Big Mike is not Hispanic, but his best understanding is that can be attributed to a wasp or a hornet. Okay. All right. I'll take your word for it. I can have that look like the dumb tourist that has no idea what you're saying. I'm good with that. Mexican Spec says the white wasp or the white hornet. Okay. Right on. We have an interpreter right here. What we have so much talent and depth in this community. I mean, anytime there's something somebody needs a specialist on. I mean, we all like cars, but even outside of that, there's all kinds of interesting people and talent in this community that know different things. There you go. But straight from an expert, the white wasp or the white hornet. Dougster says Big Mike's Spanish sounds on point. I have no idea what he's saying, but it sounds right. Well, I'm one of these uncultured Americans that speaks only English fluently. And I studied a little bit of German, a little bit of French, just electives, but probably count to 10 in each, and that's about it. Cousin Cletus says, my talent is talking crap. Okay. Big Mike says, considering I just acquired a 76 White Hornet. Well, there you go. It's a bicentennial, whatever that phrase was. Outfits Russell. Hello. Glad you could make it. Well, Russell, I know it's early, but since you made a prediction last year, a year ahead of time, What are you thinking about for No Name Nationals in 2026? Russell always brings something interesting. Hot Rod Guy Garage says Russell 2. I don't know. Who's Russell 1 and who's Russell 2? I say Outfits Russell and Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell. That's the way I differentiate. Big Mike says I speak busted up and twisted Spanglish. Well, a lot of people speak busted up and twisted English as a native tongue. So you're better off than that. Dr. Ghost says he can't put a price on all the knowledge I've gained from this community. So awesome. I'm thankful for all. Oh, yeah. The community here is just fantastic. It's amazing. When we want to know something, there's a lot of collective brain in the community here. Russell's going to bring a Chevette. I could see it. I'm good with that. I don't believe we've had a Chevette at the No Name Nationals. I don't think anyone's ever brought one. Outfits Garage is OG Russell. Well, he was, I believe, the first Russell of the party. I'm just glad to have both of them in the community. Both great guys. Russell says you're just going to have to wait and see. It'll be better than last year. I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that. I'm patient. Pretty soon there'll be a number on this orange paper, and it'll start ticking down. And all the people who never show up won't show up again. And the people who bring it every year will bring it every year again. And we'll have new people like we always do. And I predict, though, that Russell is right. He's going to have something cool there. Cousin Cleta says there was an LS Swap Pinto, but I haven't seen a Chevette. Well, there's Dizzy Izzy. Happy Halloween, spooks and ghouls. Dizzy, did you have any trick-or-treaters? What was your standard? Was it 3 pieces candy per trick-or-treater? Did you have a standard amount, or did you just go for the handful or the single? What was your go-to? LB Bruin spoke to Mopar Joe yesterday. Cool. Give Joe our regards. Tease, Good Time Garage. A little late, but the trick-or-treaters still rolling through. Yeah, you guys in the West. I mean, I closed up shop here about time for the live, but we had a bunch. So Outfits wants to know if you're going to put the axles under that Honda. Dizzy says no trick-or-treaters, no kids around here. Bummer. Yeah. Big Hoopty Mike says, I'm thinking about a big tricycle. I could see that. Cousin Cletus says, trick-or-treaters usually out till about 9 here in Arkansas. I live off the beaten path, so I haven't seen any. I wouldn't miss much about moving out of town, but I would miss the trick-or-treaters on Halloween. think it's pretty cool. I saw Michael Myers walking down the street too. Big tall one too. Oh, and I saw a Jason Voorhees walking a dog. I thought that was pretty cool too. LB Bruins has asked Cletus if Arkansas is pronounced Arkansas. I think it's Arkansas. It's in Armalite Rifle, Kansas. Alaska's abbreviation is AK. They're fans of the Kalashnikov. Indirect Jason says most of the adults are drunk by now trick-or-treating. Almost every house gives alcohol to the adults. See, that is that's where your area is. Your area is all into alcohol up there. Would never happen here. Cletus gives LB a pronunciation guide to Arkansas. LB Bruins had an Armalite 50 in front of me yesterday on sale for $3,666. Okay. Indirect Connection likes the Jello shots, keeps him warm. My gosh. Dexter says, I give out king-size Snicker bars to trick-or-treaters. The look of pure greed on the kids' faces are so funny to me. That's pretty cool, though, Dugster. The king-size Snickers bars. Can you even get king-size anymore? I always see the like the 2-pack shareable deal or whatever that is. Don says no trick-or-treaters with 40-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah, we wouldn't want them blowing down the street. Not that street especially. Get run over by your neighbor or something. The hippie opened the back of his van with a sign that read free candy. See, and that I would have done that this year. I thought about doing that exact thing this year. The one day a year it's a free candy van. Yeah, Danny Boyd says no soap on Dugster's window or toilet paper. Yeah, that's something that some people from up north say, toilet. I don't know why. Sounds weird to me. I don't know why. Russell's talking about coffee. You like coffee, go for it. I'm so not a coffee person. Big Mike says Arkansas was the only state in the Bible Noah looked out of the Arkansas. I wouldn't agree with that. Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible, and California is still there, last I heard. Hello, J-Bo. Howdy, sir. How's your building coming? Did it get too cold to do concrete? Which reminds me, we have yet to have freezing weather, but I need to look because it doesn't look like we're going to have freezing weather anytime soon. The lowest I'm seeing anywhere is upper 30s. We're going to have highs later in the week in the 60s here. Danny Boyd suggests that God was a Plymouth man. He drove Adam and Eve from the garden in his fury. There you go. Dust Devil says we have a freeze warning tonight. Yeah, we're still a little warmer here. Working on the footings for the rebar. Oh, boy, you guys better get to working. You got to pour concrete. And I know it gets really cold there. So you going to use a lot of antifreeze to pour that? Or time to break out the heater. Oh, the heater's already broken out here. Runs all the time. Hot Rod Guy Garage, you need about 10 gallons of antifreeze. I got everything antifreezed up except the van. The van still needs it. I had to put a freeze plug in the van. So Dougster said that my favorite quote on my porch is one kid to another. We're coming back here next year. They were about 6. That's cool. Big Mike said frost this morning and actual freeze tomorrow night. Yeah. Oh, I don't like thinking about the cold. I hate cold. I've said for years if I could go in a coma for just January and February, that'd be okay by me. Cletus suggests everyone smash the thumbs up if you feel so inclined. Feel free. Indirect connection. Jason says we changed the water for antifreeze in the Valiant when it was still on the trailer. Yeah, you got to be more careful with freezing where you are. Mexican Spec says we are all the way down to 80 degrees right now. Yeah, but you guys need to have some just for corrosion protection, even though you don't really get any freeze down there. Colleen says 39 is the lowest for the next 10 days. It's pretty close to that here. Pretty close. But I need to get my antifreeze done in the van. Yeah, I was going to be good to go, but I had that, I put the radiator in it. Fortunately, I didn't put any in it after I put the radiator in. I wanted to run it and test it. And then that freeze plug went. I changed the freeze plug. And now it's doing great. I just need to put antifreeze in there. That was the way to go. Found a brass tank factory radiator out of a 2000 model B350. Just perfect. I still had to fix where they butchered the transmission cooler lines, and I just spliced them, compression fittings. That's what I wound up doing. But when I go to a 46RH in that thing, I'm going to upgrade to 3/8 inch cooler lines and then run all new ones, and that'll make a nice upgrade. Big Mike's wanting to get the shop insulated. Oh, I'm so jealous. Heavens Mopar says Sunday is my window to get the rust encapsulator on the rear frame rails of Stevens Challenger before it drops below 40. Then rain all week. Then I can install the trunk pan. Oh, horrible season for that kind of stuff. Mohawk plugged my turbo heater in today, hit the start button. What is a turbo heater? What's it like? What's it do? Peckerwood Customs Aaron says we are lined up for what could potentially be our first tornado today. Ooh, we don't get any of that around here. Insulating the garage. I need to put some insulation under the master bedroom in the house. Got some spots that need to be put up. Outfits Garage says we are actually planning on having the 2026 No Name Nationals build in the shop and ready with plenty of time. Yep, cool, excellent. I remember the very first year Russell drug a stock car in out of the weeds, cut it free from the weeds and pulled it in the shop in the winter. And I'm not thinking that was what he wound up building, but I'm like, boy, with this guy's work ethic, he's going to be there. And he was. Mohawk says the turbo heater is a salamander to some. Okay. Dougster says, I have an early birthday present. Lady Dougster got me an 8 kilowatt diesel heater, and I'm planning on a heat exchanger for the exhaust. A little more bang for my buck. Wow. Sounds cool. Cousin Cletus is hoping Russell will head over to Conway and help him out. Indecisive Garage said I put the race truck in the heated barn on the hoist to rip it apart and rebuild it better than before. Cool. Dougster's also calling it a salamander. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Indecisive Rose. What's a nice looking shop you've got going on in there? Dougster's building a heat exchanger. Okay. I'm just trying to get all of my must-do maintenance done before it gets nasty cold. Mohawk sent me a pic. Have not yet received it. Usually when I tell Mohawk I've sent him a picture, it can be scary. Oh, is that what it is? Huh. Look at the price on that bad boy. We always call those things torpedo heaters. Dougster says 55-gallon drums, some exhaust tubing, and kiln-dried sand. That's it. Okay. Outfits Russell, remember you were my 27th sub on my way to 500. Now, I didn't remember I was your 27th. I knew I was one of your early subscribers. I do remember that. I didn't know I was 27th. That's pretty cool. Man, I like that. Proud to know I was supporting you really early. Yeah, when I saw you cutting that car free from the brush and bringing it in in the winter, I'm like, yep, subscribe. This guy's going to make it. Everybody who was doing that, pulling cars in the winter and working in the cold, you and Barry, everybody did that, made it. I knew it because you had the work ethic. Dean says you only get an Australian Design Award if you have 2 blades. Okay. Yep, Russell's down to help. Russell's a good builder. I'll tell you, I like watching his channel when he's putting stuff together. How long does it take you to change a 9-inch rear in a stock car, Russell? Dust Devil Garage says, I did a review on the best heater for YouTubers, puts out the heat of a torpedo heater and quiet enough to shoot a video when it's on. We need that. Does anybody have the link for that? If one of our esteemed mods could post it, that would be wonderful. That's a timely video. Mohawk says, my razor has 2 blades. Does that count, Dean? Dougster said, had a plan to make it forced air at first, but I'll make a simple one first. And if I like how it performs, I'll retrofit it version 2.0. Okay. Dust Devils is my best performing video ever. Yeah, I mean, it sounds really valuable. Dean says, I wouldn't trust a stick as far as I could throw it. Tell that to Jethro. There's nothing he likes playing with more than a stick. He has one Lars gave him for No Name Nationals. Loves it. Scott wants to know if those kerosene heaters stink up the garage, diesel or gas. What's everyone's preference? I'm thinking about getting a used one. What say you guys? That's a subjective thing. Dougster says, in junior high, I captured a salamander, the critter, and gave it to my science teacher. Sounds like a very Dougster-like thing. Hot Rod Guy Garage, per Mohawk, Hot Rod Guy Garage did a review on a Vevor diesel heater. Okay. Dean Stevenson said there are no current U.S. senators with the first name Sally. Russell says carbon dioxide is always a concern with any fuel-based heater, stink or not. Or carbon monoxide. Yeah, correct. I read it, didn't even do my own logic check. Carbon monoxide, CO. Cousin Cletus, 65, Ford built a heater out of an old dryer on his channel. 65 Ford, I guess it's the name of the channel. Built a heater out of an old dryer on his channel. It looked really, I could imagine that thing was super expensive to run, though. Sure, it was good content, but Russell says we've actually changed engines in 15 minutes on a high pressure situation back in the day and could change 9-inch gears in 10 minutes, but I was younger. We did a Volkswagen Beetle in 17 minutes one time. But that's a Beetle. That's a lot different deal. Bear Rose says, I use a China Hat propane heater and it works pretty good, but I have a real tall ceiling and no insulation. Propane eats me up with expense. That's the problem with it. I like it. I have a propane heater in my garage. I put it in. Admittedly, my insulation is terrible. Here's a link to the Dust Devil heater review right here. Thank you, Miss Colleen. I like heater reviews from people that live in colder climates, which Brian does. Dougster says, I was looking for the Hot Rod diesel heater video and haven't found it. Well, if Miss Colleen happens to come across it, I'm sure she'll share. It's a Vevor diesel heater. Russell from Hot Rod Guy Garage. Dizzy caught a large salamander from the river years ago. 11 inches long. My gosh. Quite a salamander. Same kind of heater that Peckerwood Customs Aaron's uses. Of course, your heater season is probably on the way out now because ours is on the way in. Your seasons are opposite. Yeah, Duxter's were half that, he says, he's found. Scott says, I would only use to preheat the garage until the wood stove wakes up to put out heat. Yeah, I can see that. Here we go. Colleen's got the link. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Hot Rod Guy Garage diesel heater. There you go. Dizzy says, look them up. Frilled and camouflage. Sounds neat. Indecisive Tim says, good night. He drove 1,000 miles today and socialized for a couple hours. I'm tired. I guess you went 500 up and back to Copes. Wow, what a haul. My goodness. Okay, where did you eat? Did you go to Aurelio's? Yeah, Aaron says no heater needed for at least 7 months now. Yeah, but our season's been like that. We haven't needed a heater for that long. Outfits Russell, Come Alive 305 project. Sounds exciting. Barrow says, I have a pellet stove you see in the background, but that worthless thing's where I set my wrenches so they don't stick to my hands. So you're saying the pellets aren't good. What I've heard is that the pellet stoves are only as good as the pellets you put in them. And if you put cheap pellets that don't have a lot of heat content, they're terrible. But if you put hardwood pellets in them, they're good. I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. Blue Grit Walker says, I will try to get my heat pump installed in the garage this weekend. I have a backup 4,500 watt heater for when it gets really cold. I just have to make sure I don't have a fuel spill. Okay. Gluten-free because it's easier. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, that's right. Cheap pellets, just plug it up with ash. Yeah, I've heard that the pellets make all the difference in the world in those pellets. What kind of how does it work for you when you use the good pellets? Colleen says that Jay from Irish Outlaw has a waste oil heater set up. I know those are good. Cope has one. Uh, the waste oil heat setup is nice. Man, I have to change my oil more regularly to be able to feed that. Yeah, Scott's again saying he would use to preheat the garage till the wood stove gets up. Lou Grit Walter squinting on the phone. How's everyone doing? Well, it's a good day. I got a very complex deal done at work done today. Race more, you'll have plenty. This is true. This is true. Well, of a wait. Wow, did we really make it to like an hour 52 in before we had one of those things where it's stalled like that? Mike has a cast iron stove he wants to use to build a waste oil heater. Colleen says it's great as long as the oil isn't gas soaked. Yeah, that could be a problem. Dust Devil Brian says, I don't need to break out the big heater yet. My propane heater on top of the tank will work for now. Yeah. Dean says they're way more clever than me. Some say I have an IQ 75. Dean, you definitely have an IQ well more than 75. I can tell that from everything you write. My Aunt Nancy is calling it an evening. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you Sunday, Aunt Nancy. Maybe we'll get her on a live one day. Barrow says, when I had it in the house, it did okay. But lignetic pellets are the only ones it likes, and they are more money than propane. Yeah, it could be. I don't know enough about those things to. I mean, there's so many different forms of heat. Cletus has a huge wood burning stove, just sits. I need to get rid of it. I don't know what to do for heat. I'd love to have good heat in the garage. I'd love to have good heat in the house. I have 2 houses with heat pumps and don't live in either one of them. Mohawk says his turbo torpedo heater does fill the shop up with exhaust fumes from the diesel, but he raises the door up about a foot and haven't set off the O2 sensor. Tough to heat a concrete pad. Yeah, you're not doing that. Well, if you had the setup like the Nelsons had that circulated water underneath the pad, but I still don't know how well that would do just being. I mean, it'd probably be nicer than, even if you're not enclosed, it'd be nicer laying on that ground. Dougster says, I'm planning on filtering my waste oil well and mixing with my diesel, but a low amount, like 10%. Jabo says, a friend of mine did a waste oil furnace. He placed one ad in the local shopper asking for used oil, and he's had plenty ever since. Cleta says, Mohawk lives off diesel fumes. He might. Dean Stevenson said he could be my Aunt Nancy's agent for a small cut. Maybe. Talk with her. Heavens Mopar Scott says, wife wants to get rid of my wood stove and wood pile and go with a pellet stove. Bear Rose is saying, talk her out of it, Scott. Yeah, if you can. Here's a link to Irish Outlaw Jay's waste oil heater, converted wood stove. Yeah, worth checking out. Poured the pad thick enough for a lift one day. Yeah. You're thinking, man. I would rather work outside anytime, well, unless it's freezing cold. But I love working outside. If it's a nice summer day, there's nothing better than just working outside. I prefer that to working even the shop doors up. Huh. Dougster's saying with a Cummins 6BT with a mechanical injector pump, you can run 3 gallons of well-filtered waste oil to a full tank of diesel. Thumper's got a mix here. A gallon of gas to 4 gallons of waste oil to run his torpedo heaters. Okay, maybe. I don't know. Scott says, I've talked her out of it for 7 years now. Don't get gone too long. It might vanish on you. Thumper says 50 bags of pellets are $250 here. Lasts a month. Propane will be $1,000 a month. It's more than pump gas. Yeah, propane is just untenable. Hot Rod Guy Garage says, I've not tried it in the Vevor yet, but I assume it'll work just fine. Same concept, made better. Barrows says, buying a new pellet stove is like buying a 2025 Fiat. Overcomplicated electronics with the performance of a 1200cc VW missing 2 spark plugs. Yikes. Well, Barrows has pretty much talked me out of it then. And he's from a cold place, so even more reason to put stock in that. Wendy said we went with gas years ago. Yeah, we don't have natural gas here. We've got propane. The other side of I-81 has natural gas. This side does not. Dougie has a Vevor. Big Mike says, I spend about $25 a year cutting firewood on my property for the winter. There you go. Thumper says, I've been heating my home with pellet stoves since 2016. It gets a little bit cold here, a little bit of snow. Yeah, well, there you go. Thumper likes the pellet stoves. But what kind of pellets do you use, Thumper? You say 50 bags for $250, but what are they? See, Thumper probably doesn't get as cold as I do. I am just very cold-natured. I hate the cold. People who are more tolerant to the cold might, to me, in the 50s is cold. Don's done many a cut wagon full. Well, guys, you know what? We are, I went ahead and went the full time, even though I started a few minutes late. I stuck around a few minutes longer. So much fun hanging out with you guys every Friday. Thank you for coming by. Make sure to check out Tech Talk Live on Wednesday nights on Professor P's channel. He in Dallas, 7 to 9 Central. Of course, we'll be here on Friday night. But have a safe and fun Halloween. Watch something scary tonight. And we will see you guys next week. Take care.